Hello again, Patriots. It's been another week, and I am here again with our Friday happy hour. And also, once again, I am joined by Mrs. Gray Squirrel Patriot.
Hello.
And we wanted to come back at you and do another one of our happy hours where we relax after a hard week of work, and we are going to have a couple adult beverages while we talk to everyone here and discuss a variety of topics. As you know, our Friday happy hours, we could cover a variety of things from politics to pop culture, and then obviously get into the fun stuff in the end, the paranormal stuff. So again, here we go, and we'll start with the politics. There's a lot going on this week. President Trump went into court and was indicted, and as we can see, that happened because a lot of stuff was coming out about the Biden crime family, so we needed a distraction. So they're trying to go after President Trump, and they naturally go after him every time they need a distraction, and here we go. President Trump has been indicted for basically having, I went through it and it was like they're trying to use the Espionage Act, and I'm not sure you can, say it's espionage if he's not giving it to a foreign nation, but, a foreign power, but whatever, we know the whole thing's kind of a joke. If anyone has been following that or whatever, in the end, it's almost like something that doesn't matter because it actually seems to help President Trump. It seems to just fire up his base of supporters, and he's been doing a ton of fundraising basically on it. And I think the public is seeing that he is just being targeted no matter how much they try and spin it. I know the legacy media is trying to spin it as like this is different from the stuff that happened with President Biden having documents that are like stored in his Corvette and these things. Well, the situation here, there's another difference. The fact is President Trump was president. As president, you can basically declassify any document, and to declassify it, it's not like there's a form you fill out or a ceremony or something like that. Basically, it's like yeah, I did it in my sleep, and it's kind of a joke that they are going after him on this, and it shows you they are desperate. They are desperately afraid of President Trump as the candidate. And what's funny, and I've said this before in one of our other videos, is, the Democrats should be careful about what they wish for, because I firmly believe that if they were able to prevent President Trump from running, it's almost certainly going to be Ron DeSantis. And I think he honestly has a better chance at winning. And I think he would be just as much of a problem for the Democrat and even the Rhino establishment as President Trump will be. And probably a little more so because he knows how to work within that world. So, hey, they're going to keep going after President Trump, and the fact that they keep going after President Trump tells you, they're scared of him. In spite of also, like, you look at, the Biden crime family here, there's some pretty serious allegations made, and there seems to be some recordings that exist, though we haven't heard them. They're talking about some recordings that basically are pretty damning for President Biden, where he is, heard basically being, he's taking a bribe from some executive from that Ukrainian company that had hired his son. Just, something, what makes me laugh in all of this is in the political world, in public service world, really, there is, when it comes to ethics, you are typically held to a standard of avoiding an appearance of impropriety. That means you don't even necessarily have to be doing something wrong, but if it appears that there's something not in the up and up, that in itself can be a violation. And the fact that Biden's son, all of his dealings seem a little off, okay? That, the man was never an artist, but now he sells, artwork for hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's interesting. Or that, he has no experience in an energy business, but he gets hired to run, to be an executive for some, foreign energy business. And, it happens that that particular country now needs trillions of dollars, I think, in funding. I know we're in the billions. I don't know if we hit the trillions with the what we're giving to them. So I think there's a lot of valid points. I think the other interesting point, and if no one's seen this, is that there's been the Senate has been holding some hearings, and they have some of the officials from the FBI, and the FBI has been avoiding at all costs turning over some documents that come from them looking into these bribery allegations with President Biden, and they go back to, I believe, when he was vice president, and they just will not turn over these documents to Congress. And I think just the fact that they're going through, walking through fire to avoid handing these documents over tells you that they're probably pretty damning. There's a form that FBI agents have to fill out when they basically do any type of preliminary investigation. I am not 100% sure how this works, but they will not turn over this basic form. Now, typically they would use something that says, we're, in the middle of an investigation, we can't speak to that, we can't turn it over. Well, are they in an investigation? It seems that they concluded that, they decided that they weren't going to investigate. So what's going on? And even still, I think, if Congress is demanding it, they should be handing it over. If you have a chance, check out Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley really questioning these these officials from the FBI, and just how they're just completely stonewalling. So that tells me there's something. You don't stonewall when there's nothing. You stonewall when you have something and it's not good. The FBI has lost its luster, I think. The FBI has, become an agency that was once, something that we could be proud of in this country as a top-notch law enforcement agency. And now it's become a joke. It's become political. It's really, it's really become a complete joke. And, but hey, if you have a chance, definitely check that out. Ted Cruz does not disappoint in the way he is questioning this official from the FBI. So, so we will wait to see what we come up with for Biden. It will be very interesting. I certainly hope the Republicans, have the intestinal fortitude, maybe we'll say that. Ordinarily, I'd say, do they have the balls for this? But, to actually go through with a potential impeachment of him. The Constitution is very specific. It actually lists bribery as one of the reasons a person can be impeached as president. And we're talking about bribery here. So, be very interesting. I know the Republicans have really disappointed us, and they always do, because they're a bunch of wusses. And anyone that's followed that was one of the things that I think I liked most about President Trump, is he not only did he go out there and was a fighter but he actually caused a lot of the Republicans to grow a pair suddenly. Even people like Lindsey Graham, who is a typical rhino, and he caused him to fire up once during some of the debates for the Supreme Court justices and stuff like that. But that was one of the things I loved most about President Trump is he did inspire some of these Republicans to stand up. But so often the Republicans just cave. I think part of it is the fact that the media is never on their side. Whereas Democrats are always emboldened. Like right now, the Democrats, there should be, at the very least, the Attorney General should be looking at appointing a special prosecutor to investigate President Biden. But he's not, and they're going to probably avoid that and get away without doing it. Because if the media is not going to hold their feet to the fire, which they never do with the Democrats, why should they? Why should the Attorney General do that? And that's kind of how I feel about the Republicans though too. Is they cave in when they really should just be like, no, well, you know what, you guys didn't do it, so why should we? But unfortunately, I think the Republicans, to a certain degree, actually have morals, and so that's the problem with them. My attitude on a lot of things, and this gets back to even some of these boycotts and some of the things that we've been dealing with, is you really need to fight fire with fire. We can't, I'm not saying be sleazy, but we got to hit them back the same way they hit us. Okay, the leftists use boycotts and shaming and all that. We got to do the same. Okay, and you know what? It's working. All of a sudden, when conservatives have stayed with their boycotts of Bud Light and Target, it's making a difference. Has anyone noticed how this Pride Month, so we're halfway through Pride Month, and it's been really a low-key Pride Month. We haven't seen a lot. Usually, I think last year there was, I went through my personal Instagram page, and I went back and I was checking a couple of businesses that I follow, and even ones that were kind of low key anyway. They had posted like one thing on June 1st, like Happy Pride Month. Last year they did it. This year they didn't do it. Remember I was showing you one in particular?
Yeah, it's Narragansett did not have.
Yeah.
They didn't even have a Pride logo, and none of the people I follow either. Like maybe just two or three. And that's it. And it used to just be just a whole rainbow of colors, and you went through the whole thing, and now none of them do. I don't think any of them want to be Bud Lighted like everybody else,
Bud Lighted, yeah. Well, that and that's the actual thing. There is, I think, when this boycott happened, and we're seeing how it is affecting these companies. I think a lot of companies, were sitting there watching. Actually, I firmly believe even Target was watching the situation with Bud Light, because they seemed almost ready to deal with the backlash. And I'm willing to bet you they were all gung-ho for, Pride Month, with because they were preparing. We read an article from Target where the guy who is the designer who created
it's
this.
the satanic designer.
Yes.
Who's actually a trans woman, so
trans man. I don't know how that works.
A woman transitioning to a man.
Yeah.
But they're not satanic, remember, even though they had horns on, matching the Satan on their t-shirt that said Satan.
Yeah, well, they're just dabbling in it, so there's no harm, right?
Right. And they
I'm being sarcastic. That's pretty sick stuff.
It is.
And honestly, that was one of the things you and I were talking about too, as we drift into this with Target. Everyone seems to be more upset about these tuck-friendly children bathing suits,
which is also disturbing.
It's disturbing.
But it's not as disturbing as Satan.
Yeah, the satanic stuff, and basically they had things that were calling for violence against. Heterosexuals.
Yes, like the head chopping thing. The
guillotine one, and There's one with axes and stuff like that.
Yeah,
And
it's like, I want to wear a pin that says that.
yeah, well,
Jeez.
So, but getting back to Target, I really feel like when I started reading those articles, Target had reached out to that designer, like I want to say in July or August of last year. So they've been planning for the 2023 Pride Month pretty much as soon as the 2022 Pride Month ended. So they were reached out to this person, they were working with this person to come up with their stuff for Pride Month. And I'm sure that when everything kind of hit the wall with Bud Light, they were like, uh-oh, yeah. Yeah, we need to be ready with a plan.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. And because as soon as there was any backlash, and the backlash was actually starting even in May, we had seen a mother on like YouTube going off about
going through and doing a video showing the horrifying clothing and stuff for kids. And it isn't even that, it's the fact that they did it for kids that makes everybody go completely insane about everything. It isn't that, I mean, I'm sure there are adults who do need some tuck-friendly things. That's great. Nobody needs to see it. It doesn't need to be in Target, and it certainly doesn't need to be in the children's section.
Well, my thing is there enough of a market for them to have that in all their stores?
Target. Yeah. I mean, can't you go online and buy a special thing like that? Do we all have to walk past it when we have, our cereal in our carts and think about that? Like,
someone's explaining that to their kids too,
Right.
You had to explain it to me. I'm like, what?
I was so disturbed. And it wasn't just that either. They don't mention they even had like bikini tops for girls to wear that are binding, so it makes them look more like boys. Like, that's just wrong. I mean, if you want to do that and you're an adult, fine, but don't, like, why
It's
even
not for
make
kids.
a little kid even think about that? Or even need to know anything about that. It's just, I mean, I know everybody feels that way too, but it's so disturbing and so wrong. And it just makes you so mad, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then they blame everybody, all the conservative people who go in there and get all upset about it.
Bigotry.
Yeah, and they're being so hateful, and they're threatening the employees, and they're taking it back. They're putting it in the back of the store because all of the conservatives are going in there and being so mean and intimidating everybody. We're not the ones doing the bombing calls.
Yeah.
So they're going to burn down every Target.
Yeah, that's the latest thing is Target keeps getting a lot of bomb threats and things like that at various stores, which is wrong. No one should ever do that. That is wrong. But it seems that, and I noticed like the news articles, when you see them, they try and spin it like it's coming from the right. But apparently it's coming from the left, from the alphabet groups that are offended by Target basically bowing down to the conservatives. How dare they? So this is a perfect example of a corporation that didn't need to do anything, but had to step in it to virtue signal, really.
Right.
And now that they virtue signaled, they got the backlash, and and they've been hit hard. They have been hit really hard, and people are boycotting. You yourself you were a huge Target fan.
Yes, I was so upset. I mean, I used to like to go into Target and have like a nice leisurely time, walk around and look at the stuff, and it actually kind of makes me sad because a lot of the places and a lot of the brands that I used to use, like I will not use any even shop at Ulta anymore, and now Target is gone, and Neutrogena, and all of these places that are trying to erase women. It's just it's so sad, and just makes you feel so betrayed. And I don't know. I can live without Target. I'll be just fine. I'll find something else. I'll slum it and go into Walmart. Although that's not bad either. But our Walmart near us is not the funnest to go to, but that's all right. We have a magical one in another place that we go to.
She actually needs to pump herself up, like, you know, it's just
to
like,
mentally prepare
But
to
the-
go into Walmart.
it's like, I can do it. She has like a couple shots of whiskey, and she's like, she's ready to go.
CBD oil, I'm fine.
Yeah. Actually, this brings us to a little thing too. Is I know you've been looking around for makeup. So basically, you want to buy makeup from non-woke companies. If anyone has,
Yes, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. Even places to purchase things that are, conservative made or anything. I've actually attempted and a few times. I was just telling you about this last night. There's places I guess that you can go, but you have to sign up and answer questions, and I feel like I'm being vetted in order to like go online and
for
shop.
these conservative,
the conservative
like pro,
places.
yeah. I know
that bothers me.
Dr. Steve Turley,
Yeah.
in some of his videos, he would push that. And I'm not, nothing against him.
I love him. Yeah, he's great.
They're just, it's just something that, a couple of these ones have popped up, and I've responded to them, and then it's something like, it's like a club, and I'm like, look, I don't want to buy a club. I thought it was a website I could go to, and
Right. Yeah, they're making it almost kind of like, I feel like we are already suspicious enough about everything, and they're gonna have to like ask me questions so I'm granted access. Like, no, just send me the site so I can go in and shop. That's gonna make a lot more people are gonna want to shop there if you just send them the site.
Yeah.
I mean, having to go through all of this stuff, like I don't need someone to talk to me on the phone and walk me through signing up to. Like, no, this one person contacted me, like he called me like 3 or 4 times, even while we were on vacation, and then texted me. I just got one from him last night. I had to say, thank you, but I thought this was just a website. Please take me off your list. And it was nice, but
Yeah.
I don't know. He wasn't like harassing me
Yeah.
exactly, but I don't know. Just send me the site. I don't want to
Anyway,
be part of the club.
if anyone has any ideas for Mrs. Gray Squirrel Patriot, please send them our way.
Yes.
And, but anyway, back to Target. It seems that they are. We just checked their stock price, and again, they have continued to keep going down. So great work, Patriots. Their stock price closed today at 133.81. I haven't done the math to see how much they've lost. It's been pretty flat for the last month, which is fine. Oh, it looks like it actually even dropped off a little bit at the end of yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we'll put this in there for you to look at, and but great work. We are definitely keeping the pressure up on Target. Target is a business where it seems that the employees, if you go to Reddit, there's an entire Reddit page just for their employees, and the employees are talking about how dead it is. That even like the online pickup orders are down like 50% in places, and I know we don't go there. I mean we're just one small group. We'll be following up with a letter to them too, saying we no longer shop there.
Yeah.
And what was funny is I didn't really care about Target one way or another. But there were even some of Target's own products that I used to like to buy, and now that's got to be like a double hit for them. Not only am I not buying the name brand thing from them, but I'm buying one of their own Target brand products, which I bought that like monthly, and it was like one of those type of things where I don't know the retail industry, but I would think store brand products, while they sell them cheaper, I would think they're because it's their own product, that they probably make a little bit more on that than the actual national brand. I don't know. I've never worked in retail, but I would suspect that that is the case. But people need to keep up this pressure on Target. And, again, just simply don't buy stuff from them. And again, Target has not issued any type of statement. In fact, actually, the only statement they did was they're like, oh, wow, we're moving some of this merchandise to the back of the stores for the safety of our employees.
Yeah.
Well, I always thought that was kind of a joke because it's like, well, can you identify any type of specific threats towards your employees? They didn't mention that. And that was like out of the gate, like as soon as there was any.
That was like their first thing they said.
Yeah.
Yep. They
Yeah.
had to blame it on. It was the
Yeah.
hateful white supremacist groups that were coming in, and
Yeah.
homophobic people. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, okay? Who do you think is the unstable person? The one that is concerned about the safety and well-being of children, or the one that doesn't know which bathroom to use? Just throwing that out there, figure out for yourself. One thing through all of this Target stuff that's come to light is we've come across a group, and I urge people to check them out. They're called Gays Against Grooming. And this is something I've seen a little bit of already. I didn't know there was even an entire group that was against it. But I was kind of seeing some of this pushback within the, I joke, the alphabet community, the gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, and I know we get into a bunch of other letters that I don't know what they're for.
I don't
but anyway,
know
we've been seeing. I think the gay and lesbian people we're starting to see members of that group basically saying, "Hey, wait, we have nothing to do with the trans people. We're born this way. And then." It's almost like there's almost like this little bit of pushback, and I had seen it from individual things I'd come across on YouTube that different videos. We had seen a couple of videos where there are lesbians. Basically, one woman was saying, she goes, and she was like probably my age, middle-aged lesbian woman, and she was saying how she would have never pushed so hard for basically the gay rights back in the day had she known it was going to start evolving into things as much as like going after children, the trans stuff, the trans,
drag queen story out.
yes,
Crap
yeah,
like that. Yeah.
She had said that, and it was kind of refreshing to hear that. And we have some friends who are gay, and we see that they're kind of not buying into this either, and they're very much like, no, that's not our group. And so I think it's pretty safe to say, and I think this group kind of proves it, that they are, this is. That community is not exactly united, and
It seems almost like all the communities, whether you are conservative or gay or whatever, it seems like everyone agrees on one thing, is that no one cares what you do if you're an adult and you just do it on your own time. But it's the fact that they are trying to do the kids, yes. That's actually like the one uniting thing that everybody does agree about, which is kind of good in a way.
It's good. No, well,
but
it always was like, hey, I always felt that was the irony was, I felt as a conservative, I don't care what consenting adults do in privacy. Okay, that in fact, as a conservative, I support you as a consenting adult to do whatever you want in your home privacy with any other consenting adults.
right.
To me, that's a conservative thing. Live and let live. That's a conservative value. I really hate that they always turned it into, something else. But we were talking about this too, and I think this is where the trans community is not going to get the support from basically the the classic, suburban heterosexual white women, that voting bloc. That's where a lot of your liberal causes have gotten their support. And I think the gay community with gay marriage got their support from this group. So many women were, well, love is love, and they bought into that, and I'd be like, all right, So, I mean, I sometimes I enjoyed arguing with people on that, just being like, well, love is love. How do you feel about, if we want someone wants to have 2 or 3 wives, and well, that's different. Wait a minute,
Not really.
So why is that different? If love is love, if you want to follow that argument to the next level, but not getting into that. I think that's where the trans community is gonna really lose the support, and I think that's what's happening with Target. Is you're seeing, because let's face it, I would be willing to bet you the vast majority of Target shoppers are, white, middle class women, and it's because I look at Target as as a guy, I have no reason to shop there. I mean, there was a couple of things I'd pick up because you were going there. But there was nothing for me in Target. At least I go into Walmart, I hit up the sporting goods section. I maybe get some things to use around the house and whatever. But Target really did not carry a lot that interested me. Maybe check out DVDs. I know they had some electronics and stuff, but really it was not a store that I enjoyed going to. I'd fight you tooth and nail usually when you
Right.
try and drag me in there. But so I really think that is what has happened with that issue, is that the Target seems to have lost that community. Also, by the way, I noticed that Bud Light is still not doing well. I think we checked out their stock today, and it is down a bit, which gives me a nice warm feeling inside. They're still down, and now there are stories. Early on, there were stories popping up, basically saying, "Oh well, this is nothing. This will blow over, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff." Well, now here we are. What? 2 months in, 2 full months in, because it actually started the end of March, didn't it?
Yeah.
So now we're in actually more than 2 full months. We're really pushing 3 months in, and Bud Light's done. I think as a brand is completely done. It is kind of a joke, and actually, speaking of a joke, I'm going to reveal a little personal thing. And last night, very rarely do I ever remember my dreams. Every now and then, I remember a dream I had, and I'll share it in the morning with Mrs. Gray Squirrel Patriot, and. So this morning, while we were having our coffee, I said to her, I'm like, I got to tell you about this bizarre dream I had. Now, usually my dreams are, I'm not troubled with nightmares or anything. My dreams usually,
like me.
Yeah. But my dreams also usually aren't fun. It's usually like I'm trying to find something, or there's some sort of, struggle or something like that, story of my life. But in this particular case, this is such a weird dream. We had gone out, and we were at some restaurant that had a bar, and we're at the bar, and the owner or manager or whoever was there was really trying to schmooze us, and and he's like, "Oh, let me get you a drink," and he got me a beer, and I got the beer, and it was in a big glass. And Mrs. Gray Squirrel Patriot, leaned over to me and said, that is a Bud Light. And I was like, oh my goodness. Oh my god, I gotta get rid of this. What do I do with it? I don't want to be seen with this. Don't touch it. Put it down. Yeah. I was like, that was like the little struggle in my dream was like, how do I get rid of this before someone sees me with it? It was a Bud Light. And I'm like, yeah. I never.
Humiliation with a Bud Light.
Yeah, and it was the manager or whatever came over, and he was like all thrilled that I took a Bud Light because they weren't selling. And
Oh my God.
I honestly, that was my dream, this weird dream. And I never dream about beer either, by the way. I don't have a problem where I dream about beer typically. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I couldn't believe it. And it was like, wow, I was like embarrassed to have a Bud Light. And that seems to be the case. Bud Light has become a joke and no one buys it. That's it. It's done as a brand. I mean, sure, it'll exist, but it's never going to be the brand it once was. And, we just watched a video from a really, really good YouTuber. What was it? Wolves of Finance?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. Or the Wolf of Finance.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
And he put out a great, great video on the whole Bud Light thing, and I'll tell you, he did a job on that is about 1,000 times better than I could ever do to explain not just Bud Light and Target, but he goes into explaining what's driving them, where they cannot even bring themselves to basically come out and say, we effed up. And, kind of like in the movie The Hangover where they're calling up the woman. Yeah, no, they can't even bring themselves to do that. And that's the situation here. And he explained why. It all comes back to the ESG score. And he really did an excellent job explaining ESG.
We'll link that in the description.
Okay.
So that you can take a look at that if you want to.
Yes, I urge everyone to check out his video. It's called Wolves in Finance, and this gentleman does a good job. He has some other great videos I've been checking out. I just discovered him this week, and he explains ESG and everything with that, and he explains that more towards the end of the video, so watch the entire video, but it is outstanding. I'm actually going to reach out to him and urge him to do a separate video explaining ESG, because I worry that some people watching this might not watch to the end and get the whole explanation
He explains it really good.
Yeah, he does a really great job. So that's Wolves in Finance, and definitely check him out. And he does a really, really good job. I can't say enough good things about him. I when I saw his video, I was like, I had to send that out to like everybody I knew. I'm like, watch this, and it was outstanding. So, but anyway, his video basically explains why these companies will not apologize, will not back down from their screw up, and. It's sad, but I urge everyone to continue the pressure on them. Continue putting the pressure on them. And like I said, not just boycotting them, but you should reach out to them and tell them, I am boycotting you because. Okay, you can go to their websites and send them an email. There's sometimes with products, you can, if you look as on the can from Budweiser or something, there's usually like a 1-800 number there. Call them up, say, hey, I am not using your product because X, because you are disgusted with it. Make them feel it. One of our plans here for this channel is we're going to have some form letters for people to use to adapt for their own use, to go out to companies when you are boycotting them. I'm going to be coming up with a couple different ones, and we'll We're gonna figure out how we're gonna post them and make them available and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But I'm gonna put those out there so people can use them. They will be coming real soon, and it will be designed so you can use it and change it, but you'll have a basic form letter to put out there and let them know how you're feeling. And from my own experience, I've worked in government, and when we would get letters, I had worked for a politician. I don't want to go into too many specifics, but this particular politician, letters meant something. When you heard from a constituent, it was taken seriously. And one other thing too is sometimes when an issue is not like a big issue, your letter might even have more impact. If there's something you care about, but you think your politician doesn't know about it or whatever, your representative or senator, definitely hit them up, because sometimes they don't know about the issue to begin with. And the fact that one of their constituents cares is enough to win them over to that side. I've seen that happen. And so I will be coming up with some form letters. I will be doing an entire video on kind of doing that, and we're going to have a way to have these available, right? Correct?
Yes, yeah, we will. I'll figure that out. But one of the things I just wanted to say, because I know, like, you always tell me if I get all mad at a company, or I'm like, I'm not using their stuff or whatever, you're like, write them a letter. And to me, I'm like, I'm all like, I don't know what to say. I'm not sure what. So this form letters that he's going to create, it actually are the perfect thing, because then you don't have to dream up what to say. I mean, I don't want to sound like an idiot, like, oh, your thing makes me mad. And it's like as if they're going to care. But I mean, having it, written in a way that makes you not sound like, you're 12 is also helpful too. So I think these are going to be very useful, and I'm going to use them. I send one to Ulta and Target and Neutrogena
Absolutely.
and all the people that piss me off because I'm not using their stuff because they are, doing the things that they're doing. I think it'll be really good. I just wanted to throw that out there.
I think actually, I think a lot of times when people, write a letter for something, they're always concerned about, how to, writing it. And really, I mean, brevity is close to godliness with any type of formal letter. You want to just state your point and get it over with. So, you don't have to write a book here. Just a few sentences explaining it, and that's it. And that's what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a couple of these ready for people, and I'm going to urge all the Patriots to use them, because I think, they're obviously feeling this, but they also need to know, yeah, people are not coming to our store because we were stupid, okay? We did something that was wrong. We ignored our customer, okay? And, that you got to make them feel it. I'm going to be working on a couple of other letters also for to be used in some other situations where we're dealing with some of the media organizations, but that's another whole thing. But these will be coming out shortly, and I just want to throw that out there. So anyway, though, we've been blabbing and blabbing and blabbing about the politics, and I wanted to transition us over to the pop side of things. And on the pop side of things, we have Disney. We intended to talk about them last week, and Disney is another one of those organizations that has, get woke, go broke, and they're starting to feel it. They have come out with flop after flop after flop for movies, and right now the Little Mermaid is flopping, internationally especially, and they're trying to spin that into it's because of race and all this stuff. And then they got another one that opens up, I don't know, it might have opened up today or something, Elemental. It's a Pixar one. From what I've seen of it, it looks stupid. I'm just, I haven't seen the movie. I've seen basically a trailer, and it looks stupid to me. Okay, and I used to be a huge Pixar fan. I mean, one of my all-time favorite movies is The Incredibles.
Yes.
Um, I I love The Incredibles. That is one of my all-time favorite movies. And you know what's funny is I tried to get you to watch it initially, and you were kind of like, I don't want to see that.
I know. Well, I thought it was like a stupid comic book movie, and I was like, I don't want to see this. I thought it was like one of the Marvel movies or something. I was like, oh, yeah, this is great. But I love it. It's one of my favorite ones, too. Even the sequel was really good.
Yeah.
That was just as awesome as the first one. I mean, it was so cute and really, just really well made. Really a cute movie.
It was. Both of them were good.
Yeah.
And stuff. So, I mean, I'm a fan of the Pixar movies. Anyway, but they're just falling apart too. I guess they've driven away one of the original creators of Pixar. He's left, and so Disney just how King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold. Disney, everything they touch turns to dust. They kill it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you wanted to destroy something, this is how you do it. Follow Disney's 10 easy steps. And
yeah, and even with the Little Mermaid, it wasn't even just that they made the main character is an African American woman. Whatever. I mean, she does have a very pretty voice. I heard her song, but why not have her sing the song that was originally in it?
Yeah, they changed the songs
remake
too.
It,
yeah,
and then they have to readapt it to modern audiences and make it so that she doesn't need no man, so she isn't gonna have it be just make it like it was. That's why everybody loved it. It doesn't matter the color of anybody's skin in the whole movie. Just make it like it was.
Yeah.
They ruined them all. Like Pinocchio, they made that creepy. They've done all these disturbing things to the movies. It's like, why are you doing that? They are classics and timeless for a reason. Just don't mess with it.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance, there's a YouTuber called The Critical Drinker, and
He's awesome.
Yeah, he has done some reviews of some of these movies, and he just destroys them. I think every month he comes out with something where he just destroys what Disney did to the Star Wars sequel movies. He just utterly destroys them. But one of the things he does too is the drinker fixes, and he did a whole video on explaining how he would have fixed this.
Yeah.
And obviously they didn't go and ask him well, will you come and fix this for us? No. And you know what, Disney is obviously they're doing this whole feminist thing and whatever. That's one whole issue. But it's like they don't know who they want to market to. A couple years ago, they opened the Galaxy's Edge thing in their theme parks, which is supposed to be like a Star Wars experience. You're in this Star Wars type city, and there's only 2 rides there.
Yeah.
You know.
So.
And one of them's more like a video game than a ride, I guess. But either way, I haven't done this. It looks cool. I'd like to check it out. But what's weird with it is one of the centerpieces of this Galaxy's Edge place is basically a Star Wars type, that cantina or saloon, bar, whatever you want to call it, and they have this in this Galaxy's Edge, but Galaxy's Edge is the Star Wars of the 3 movies that Disney has, basically made, with Rey, the lead, the lead in this, and
The prequel ones,
Yeah,
right?
no, these are sequel ones, not the prequels. These are the sequel. They came after it. Yes, get
Sorry.
your
Excuse
Star
me.
Wars like yes.
Never mind. I'll stay out of this one.
Yeah, my geek just came out. It just like
No.
I burst into my full geek mode. And anyway, no, but that was the thing. Like you had the prequels, and George Lucas did that to himself. Those are horrible too. But you had these other ones come out. So the generation that's into those are children still, or on the younger side, because they've really offended all the hardcore, older Star Wars geeks from my era. I'm a Gen Xer, they offended us. So why do you have a bar then? Why, you're serving alcoholic beverages in this bar. So who are you catering to? And then they came up with that hotel,
Yes, the Galactic Star Cruiser.
the Galactic Star Cruiser. I don't know if any of you have heard about this, but it was what they call an immersive experience, where the people would spend something like $5,000-$6,000 for a family of four.
Right.
Right. You would be locked in this hotel for I want to say something like 36 hours, like a day and a half, or maybe it was 2 full days.
I think it was a couple
Like
of
2 nights, maybe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be like you're on a spaceship. You're on like a space transport. So you have a room there, and then I think the thing goes like now it's been boarded by the the stormtroopers, and they're going around questioning people, and then there's supposed to be resistance people trying to recruit people and all that. And again, this takes place in the newer Star Wars movie world. So you have that female character Rey. You have that Kylo Ren guy. Those are the characters in this. And again, it's like, okay, well, who has the money for this? First of all, if we have $5,000 or $6,000 to blow for a weekend, it's not going to be us locked up with a bunch of other Star Wars geeks.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
being forced to participate.
Yeah.
Like that's like my introverted nightmare right there. Like I would not want to do that. Would not want to spend money to be like interrogated by these actors all around you all the time. Oh my god. No.
And I'm like, wow, this is gonna flop. When I first saw her, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Then when I saw what Disney had in mind and the price, I'm like, oh, this is gonna flop big time, big time. And sure enough, they have already announced it shutting down. It lasted 18 months. I don't even think it really was 18 months, but it looks to me also by some of the stuff we've seen on it that they even made the decision to shut this down probably about before Christmas of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it really only lasted a year, a little less.
Yeah.
And it flopped. And they literally spent hundreds of millions on just that.
Yeah.
It looks really cool. If you go online, look at what these rooms look like. It is. It's really cool looking. It's neat. I'm sure if you had kids, they'd think it's great. But again, it's not like really rides. I mean, they had some activities, I think,
And it's one of those things, like, once you go, I mean, allegedly it's supposed to be a different experience every time you go. But, I mean, once you do it once, I mean, you're really going to want to spend that much money and continuously go there. So I think once all the Star Wars geeky people who could afford it went, they were like, oh, that was great. I'm all set. I don't need to go anymore. I think they kind of just blew it there after the first few months when it was, like, booked solid, and then nobody wants to spend that kind of money on there anymore.
Well,
They already make you spend so much money at the park as it is. And you're like locked in there and you have to do what they say.
Yeah.
You can't leave. I mean,
Yeah, I think they
That's
did like a
horrifying.
transport over to that.
The galaxy's edge,
Yeah.
from this like weird undisclosed area that's it's and there's no pool. I mean, there's no nothing. You could spend way less at a beautiful resort that has a pool and you can leave and come and go freely. I mean,
Well,
that's
I mean,
ridiculous.
you could have an awesome cruise too. I mean, if you're gonna be locked on something that you can't get off of, you know.
Yeah, and not have a bunch of actors harassing you the whole time.
Yeah. So that's another flop, and so Disney is also coming up with. They have this new Indiana Jones movie coming out in a couple weeks, and by everything we're already seeing, it is a complete flop, and people are just. First of all, I guess even the CGI is terrible in it too, which you know how I hate CGI, I absolutely hate it. I think CGI is one of those things, when it was first being used like a little bit with practical effects, it was cool. But now I think you know these movie makers are getting lazy, and you know they're going all CGI, and it's so obvious. It looks terrible, but anyway, though, it's a movie where you have like what, an 80-year-old Harrison Ford, and now he's the butt of the jokes with a female lead who is supposed to be basically handing the baton off to, because now I think their original plan was that she would take over as the new Indiana Jones, but this is turning into such a flop that it's going nowhere. And you know, it's expected that, and I guess it cost them a ton of money just to make. I heard something like 500 million just to make this movie.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then you figure also what they're doing maybe to even promote the movie. I bet you promoting it's probably, you know, we're talking, you know, 100 million plus probably promoting the movie, and by all accounts it's going to be a complete flop. And the thing is, they keep coming out with these things, destroying franchises. You know, I realize, you know, the franchise was probably at the end of its run with Harrison Ford anyway, just because of his age, okay? They had a fourth movie, the Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull one that came out, probably about 15 years ago. That movie was, it was okay. Wasn't great. Wasn't terrible. In my opinion, I know a lot of people didn't like it. It was okay. I thought it was okay. The point was they had him sort of. It was like they were setting that one up as he was passing off the baton to what he discovered in that movie was his son that he didn't know existed, and it was like kind of a little bit of a teenager or 20-something that was a little bit of a punk, and it was in the 50s and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, that's good. They set it to, you know, be handed off. Why aren't they following through with that? But then they have it now. There's a female lead, and I guess again, Kathleen Kennedy of Disney. That's her thing, and which comes back to like what we talked about, which is, you know, the type of person that's gonna like an adventure movie like Indiana Jones. That's something like, you know, 10 and 12-year-old boys are all about.
Yeah.
You know, that's for me. You know, I was, I think, 10 or 11 when the original Indiana Jones came out, and it was awesome. I was like, oh my god, this is what I want to be when I grow up. Okay, and you know that's who it appeals to. Just like I think the princess movies appeal to little girls. Yes, I realize that there are some little girls who aren't into the princess stuff, but I'm willing to bet you that something like 95% of the little girls, that's their thing. Mm-hmm. Just like with the little boys, I'm willing to bet you it's like 95% are all about Indiana Jones and the adventure stuff. So really, who are you trying to cater to? What's the audience here? You know, and my understanding is like sort of Indiana Jones, he's like the butt of the jokes because he's old now, you know, all that stuff. I won't be seeing it. They won't get that money out of me. I'm all set. I would rather, go watch Indiana Jones again, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the original, or one of the other two sequels. But yeah, so that's setting up to be a flop. And one of the things that we have seen with Disney too, and this is where you've been pretty upset, is that we have Disney is changing the theme parks. Now, my understanding is that their movies are doing so badly that really it's the theme park that's keeping them afloat, the theme parks that are keeping them afloat. And at the same time, they're even changing the theme parks and offending the people like yourself. You want to go back and relive a little bit of your childhood at Disney.
Yes, and I'd love to go with you and like experience that again with you and like the things that were so cool there. Some of them are still there, but not all of them, and they're changing them or updating them or reimagining them or whatever.
That's a new word for changing for modern audiences.
Yes, right. Like Splash Mountain was just so offensive that, and that's the saddest part, is that nobody was offended except for the stupid people at Disney who thought that they should, make it like a virtue signaling ride instead of what it really was. And now it's going to be Tiana's Bayou, and it was this really cute little, like, Splash Mountain was a really cute ride with all these cute little animal characters, and there was nothing offensive about it. But no, it was.
Well, if anyone doesn't know, okay, Splash Mountain was a ride based on, what was that movie? Song of the South or something
Oh,
like that?
yes, Song of the South, yeah.
Now, that is a Disney movie from the 50s, and I've never seen it because it's actually one of those movies that Disney has locked away. They will not show it. And I guess, it can be seen in Europe and stuff. I guess there is some language by today's standards would be offensive to African Americans. I don't know. I've never seen it. Ironically, though, this particular movie is where you get that song, Zippity Doo Dah,
Yeah.
which is so closely associated with Disney in general.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie was significant because back in the day, you had a black male lead actor in a children's story, essentially. And that was the first time that it ever happened. Okay? And Walt Disney was proud of it back in the day because he was actually taking a stand for civil rights by doing this, by having this movie. Now, the whole movie and even the theming associated with it, with this ride, is now considered offensive. Okay? Which, rather than being offended and we gotta destroy something, maybe leave something out there as an example of how far we've come. Right. And I think that's what they, these leftists try and destroy, is they're not trying to, just stop people from being offended. Because let's face it, they're the ones that are offended, and they're not offended because they get off on, being social justice warriors. Okay.
Right.
But leave it as a perfect example of what was, and how far we as a society have come, and showing people like, yes, something that we consider offensive now was sort of accepted back in the day, but now we are understanding that certain things were offensive. No, they got to destroy it. And I think the reason why they want to destroy it is because they don't want to show that society has grown. Okay, and we've moved away from this. No, they thrive on creating division, and by running around saying that there's division, and they don't want to see proof of improvement. But either way, this is a once beloved ride. There's nothing on the ride that I saw offensive at all.
No.
Okay,
nothing.
it's just that it's tied to this.
Animals and
Yeah,
stuff, yeah.
it was just tied to this movie. So they decided it has to go. So now Disney, who is actually hurting, one of the things that's kept them afloat, their theme parks, they're shutting down a beloved ride, which I don't know if it was an opening day ride.
Yes,
It is?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
believe so.
it's one of the original rides. If it wasn't an opening day ride, it's definitely one of the original rides at both Disneyland and Disney World. And they're destroying it. They've already taken it down. It's shut down, and it was like it's basically set up like a log flume type ride, but there was like a little bit, you go through these tunnels, and they're animatronic animals, anthropomorphic animals, which
I'm all about that.
you're all about that. But anyway, yeah. So it's. So now they're destroying a ride that was beloved to replace it. Now, what they replace it with, it will probably be nice. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
But why couldn't they have kept both? Why couldn't they make a new ride that is based on this other Disney movie,
Right.
and keep this one? Now you have two rides. I mean, it's not like as if people aren't waiting in line to take rides. So maybe if you had more rides.
Yeah, God forbid they add anything different. Like it took them 4 years to build the stupid Tron roller coaster that most people don't like anyway. But whatever.
Well, yeah, I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard people say it's a little uncomfortable to ride. I've heard other people say it's good. It's probably like a little better than Space Mountain, but not as good as the that other one they just opened like a year or two ago. What is it? The
at Universal?
No, the Galaxy.
I
can't even think of it.
I can't either. I can't either.
Anyway, they just opened another one. It's
Guardians
of the Galaxy. Thank you. I've seen some people say, I haven't been on it. It looks cool. It's very short, everyone says, as far as the length of the ride.
It looks pretty cool at night, too.
Yeah. But they were building it, seriously. It was taking them forever to build that. And, Disney, actually, we're starting to see where some of their stuff is, like people, even the attendance now at the parks has started to drop off, which in some ways it's a good thing because it's like less crowded for people, but at the same time that's not a good thing for Disney. And it will be very interesting to see what happens to Disney. Disney decided they were going full woke, and I think they're paying the price. They got into a political battle with Governor DeSantis that they didn't need to do. It was so funny because people kept saying, Disney's going to win this one. They got all these lawyers. No. See, what people didn't understand is they were using lawyers in a battle against somebody who was in a position to completely change the rules. Okay? And that's what happened. And I always knew Governor DeSantis would come out on top on that one. He had his legislature was in lockstep with his views on that. So I knew Disney had no chance of winning that battle. And they were ridiculous with that. That's another story for another day. We wanted to move on to our paranormal part. Okay? I know this is already pretty long as it is, but we're going to jump into that. And what we wanted to discuss was this latest thing. There is a whistleblower. His name is David Grush. And he is coming out saying that he's a whistleblower and he's coming forward to discuss that he knows for a fact that I don't think it's even government agencies, but government contractors allegedly have some crashed alien spacecraft. You know, they
non-human or
non-human built, non-human built, and you know they kind of dance around that non-human built. Well, that means alien. Okay, I mean if it's not humans who built it, what dolphins built it? I mean, come on. All right, so you know, it was News Nation had the initial interview with this guy, and we both watched that a couple times, and we were pretty unimpressed with him.
Yeah, the guy seemed really arrogant, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'd seen them, and you know, even though he didn't see them,
No, he was briefed on them. That's
yeah,
the thing.
He's like, yeah, they exist, they're there, I know it. There you go, end of interview. I mean, it's like he did not seem like a scared whistleblower,
Yeah.
or like he was even. And like you even said, if he was briefed, he's not a whistleblower.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if he.
He had permission. He actually has permission from, I believe, the Pentagon to talk about this. Well, if you got permission to talk about it, then you're not a whistleblower.
Right.
I mean, but you know, and that's the thing. Even on the interview, they talk about like, oh well, you have permission to talk about this, and so I'm like, well, then you're clearly not a whistleblower. If you have permission to talk about it, you're not a whistleblower. So what's your purpose? And then it kind of comes out he's never seen these things. He was just briefed on it. Okay, so really someone told you about it. So this is hearsay.
Right.
Okay, so this wouldn't even make it into court. You saw someone told you that this exists. Great. That's great. He seemed very smug and arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm calling BS on this. I think this is fake. This whole new UFO thing is, and I'm going to put it out there. I am a huge UFO geek. I have been into UFOs since I was a kid. I love, reading stories that, these sightings and things like that. But I'm also what I like to refer to as an interested skeptic. I love it, but I'm really skeptical of most of the stories I hear. But I'm open-minded. I want to hear the story. I don't write it off because that's what people did. And I mean, even if you really get into the whole UFO thing and you start looking at it, early on the government, was working to ridicule anyone that even discussed UFOs. So, why would you do that? What are you trying to hide? That was my thing. And believe me, I've put up with enough jokes from, friends and family about my interest in it, but I really am I'm fascinated by it. But again, I want the truth. I don't want a mystery to perpetuate a mystery because it's fun. I want facts. And I want facts that, are real. Things that I can see or things that, are provable. So getting back to it, I've been watching all this stuff coming out about UFOs, and it's kind of funny now. It's UAPs, and that started a couple years ago when all of a sudden there was an article, and and it was something that appeared from some legitimate UFO people who write about UFOs a lot. This Leslie Kane. She's been out there for a while writing about stuff, but my whole thing is the guys that came out a few years ago too. There was this guy that came out, and his name was what was it, Louis Elizondo, or I can't even think of his name, but was it Elizondo? He was allegedly a whistleblower coming out about the UFOs, and he was the one that had participated in this particular program called ATIP, where he was investigating all this UFO stuff and blah, blah, blah. I called BS on him. When you look him up, all of a sudden, first of all, he's out there, he's on the History Channel doing these things about UFOs and all this stuff. But when you look into him, Louis Elizondo, sorry, messed up his name. He was in the military, but when you look at him, he is former military intelligence. Okay, so yeah, I guess that would be someone that would look into UFOs. But then when you look into his background, his education is in like biology. Okay, why would you have a guy that's, his degrees are in biology looking into UFOs? Don't you think you'd have, either, aerospace engineer, a physicist, an astronomer, something looking at stuff like that? Even a meteorologist would make more sense to me than a
Right.
guy that's, got a biology degree. And his background to me is suspicious. But then he's in the Army. Why would you have someone from the Army investigating this? Why not the Air Force? Why not the Navy? Since the Navy has their whole, has aviators. In the Army, yeah, you have your helicopter pilots, but okay, it just seems off completely, all the way around.
Yeah.
I mean, why not have? I don't know. I'm not gonna keep harping on this, but right from the start, this guy has seemed fake to me. Fake as in, I don't doubt that he's former Army intelligence. Fake as in, he's a plant. There's something out there, he's been put out there to discuss this. I think, and he popped on the scene with, the Tic Tac UFO from the Navy that, the video was taken in like 2004. And then there was another one that was like a cube type shape thing. They keep showing that video over and over again like it's amazing. It's interesting, but it's not like crazy. I mean, it's not, we're not seeing, aliens walk around. But what's really interesting with this is since this stuff has come out, there's still like almost like, while all of a sudden we're talking openly about potential alien spacecraft or unidentified aerial phenomenon, and insinuating potential alien spacecraft. Okay, they have zero interest in talking about some past UFO sightings from history, and there's some really significant ones from the last 50, 60 years. Okay, there's now I'm gonna be put on the spot talking about all different ones, but you had the one with the military over at the Air Force base that was in England back in the early 1980s, Rendlesham Forest one. That's pretty significant. How about we start off talking about that one? Where you had, the deputy commander of the base seeing something. There are a lot of historical ones, and there's no talk about them. Why not?
It's almost like they want to have a brand new thing that they can say to like distract from something that's really happening that we don't know about. And that's kind of how I look at it, is that they want to create this little UAP thing that they can control, and they can give you just enough information that they choose. And because maybe something else has gone on that they don't want anyone to know about or something.
That, or someone's looking to get paid. And that's where I think we're looking at some of this might be driven by some of these aerospace companies. Oh, look at this stuff. Could it be aliens or could it be other countries? Don't know. Let's spend a lot of money and find out. And who's going to get that money?
Yeah.
Are we looking at companies like Raytheon? Are we looking at, these type of companies, in the aerospace industry that are going to get paid a ton of money to work with this? I don't know. I am suspicious. I am suspicious of this being a case of, what is it, wag the dog type of thing. They're trying to create this situation so the public will sort of get interested. And it's always one of these type of things. You have all these media people who will talk about it, but then they kind of pull back from it. They're like, oh, well, we're kind of curious about it. Hey, look, everyone's always curious about it. That's one of the things. There was a particular filmmaker who, he would make some UFO documentaries. And he always said that. He goes, oh, people always giggle and ha, and he'd go on talk shows about it. And then he would come out and say, well, once the laughing stopped, once the cameras are off, like the people interviewing would say, are they real? And stuff like that. And there's been a push by some other UFO people that were trying to actually get Congress to basically release a lot of military people from their sworn oath to not reveal secrets. These military people to talk about it and allow them to talk about it, and Congress so far have not done that. So who knows? I just think there's something going on here, and I don't think it's UFOs as in aliens. I think it's someone trying to get paid. I'm sorry. I believe me, I was like, at first, when I first heard about it, I'm like, what's going on? I was all excited, and I'm like, no, this isn't, something is not right here. We're being played, and that's my sense on this. So, do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so. No, not today. Not about that anyway.
All right. Well, I finished my beer. I had another Narragansett. I'm thrilled that they have their Jaws cans out again. I'll have to post a picture of this. It is a can that was the style of the can that they had back in the 1970s, and that's the style of the can that Captain Quint was drinking from when he was out looking for Jaws, and that just makes me even happier to drink it. But anyway, I need to get another beer, so I think we will call this good.
Yeah.
Call it a day. Thank you for listening to us ramble. As always, I hope you like and subscribe, share, and also if you have any suggestions for us, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on the UAP thing and that sort of stuff, or your thoughts on anything else. If you'd like us to talk about something else in particular, please, shoot us an email, leave a comment, and let us know. Thank you again for joining us. We will be back next week, I think, with another one, and hopefully we'll have some more fun. I want to thank you all for listening, and keep up the good work, Patriots. We're winning.
That's right.
All right. Everyone have a good weekend.